Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It is a Monday morning, so that means the first show of the week. We are so glad you guys are here on Investing Bros. We got a great show lined up for you, but it's a lot of stuff to get through, and we got an hour to do so. So hopefully we end up making it, fitting everything in. Not only stuff in crypto, but we got an exciting video at the end. You definitely want to stick around and watch because Smay makes a guest appearance at T-Shroom's birthday party we had on Saturday night, and you don't want to miss that clip. So make sure you stay tuned all the way to the end. We are watching on Bitcoin. The price has fallen below an ascending level of support. Yes, we're still setting higher lows, but we're no longer setting higher highs. What does that mean? Is Bitcoin dropping a lot further? And if so, how far? Or is this just a dip preparing for a rally after the Fed announcement on Wednesday? We're going to be talking about that in the TA section and more later with some news coming up. But I am Tim. I'm the host of the show. I'm joined by T-Shroom this morning. First of all, T-Shroom, I know you always have a different answer. How are you doing today, T-Shroom?
I'm doing brilliantly, and tomorrow I hope I'm doing better.
Ooh, there we go. It's getting good. Yeah, do you want to have a coverage of some of those headlines we're talking about later on in the show?
Absolutely, I do. So we'll be chatting about Cardano founder slamming David Gochstein for spreading fake news about the Ripple case. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. And then the U.S. Justice Department is split. They can't figure out what they want to do over charging Binance as the crypto world falters. And also we've got a new rail between the EU and Africa that is going to be incorporating the Bitcoin Lightning Network. So big, exciting stuff there for sure. And then more stories about Binance, and then ARK Invest adds this crypto company to their exchange. And you'll have to watch to find out what that company is. And then also the NASDAQ adds 6 companies to the NASDAQ 100 index. That's on our equities side of the world here. And then we'll also get into some Fed statistics as we get into the big Fed week. Tim, that's going to be an exciting run-up. Which story are you excited to hear most?
I don't even know. That was a lot. I mean, we have a lot to cover there in the second half hour. So today's show is going to be a little different. I am going to be doing some technical analysis, but you guys might have noticed on Twitter last night, I did not ask you guys what coins you want to see. We're literally run through Bitcoin, probably spend the most time right there. It is the biggest factor in the crypto space, and then briefly look at Ethereum and Cardano. But then we're actually going to early, before 9:30, going to start looking at some stocks and looking at technical analysis over there with T-Shroom. We're going to get into the stories. And again, if you are just joining right now, we got 30 people in here. Make sure you stay tuned to the end for a special clip from T-Shroom's birthday party where none other than Smay, the Turtle King, makes an appearance. And something really cool happened in that video. So you definitely do not want to miss it.
Super cool. I was very, very super impressed.
Cool. It has to do with a bird. A bird is involved in that video.
You're never going to guess it based off that, but there is a bird that's involved.
It's a factual statement that a bird is involved. Before we jump into technical analysis, let's engage with some chat. I saw some good questions over here, but I want to say good morning to everybody here. Cryptex is in chat, our moderator. What's going on, Cryptex? Let's see here. Sack Nasty 86 said, I like those clips you guys made asking crypto questions on the college campus. Do you do that regularly? The answer to that question would be no, we do not do that regularly. You have a thought on there?
Yeah, that would be extremely hard for us to replicate at this point, but not completely out of the question. I mean, we do have iPhones. So
we wouldn't do it. If we did it at this point, we would not be able to do it like a full video. We'd only be able to make like shorts with it. So we'd only be able to release like individual.
I have only briefly thought about that, but that would be within our realm of possibility. So who said that?
Sack Nasty 86.
Sack Nasty 86?
Yeah.
You may have just inspired greatness.
Wow. Look at that. And it's only Monday morning, you know?
Yeah.
Crypto Ben Franklin was in chat saying happy birthday. He said good morning. Happy birthday to T-Shroom, though. He said good morning, asked if we had a restful weekend. I said yes. I asked him if he did. He said, I wish I knew what a relaxing weekend was, but one day I will do that with the help of your videos. Absolutely. That is something we will talk about. Because actually, you know, I definitely have some weekends I don't rest very well. But overall, I do have a system. I have a weekend system that I use to make sure I regroup and get myself ready for the next week. So we'll talk about that in a future video. I don't think we're going to have time on that one today. I want to say good morning to some other people. Brian D is in chat saying good morning from Rochester. Servando Estrada said his weekend was good, having a great start to your week. And he's shouting out Brakoshi, Jabui 17. I probably did not pronounce that one correctly. is in chat. He said, please address the Jeb thing. Yeah, here's the thing. So actually, I think it's good that I read the chat. Please address the Jeb thing, so I'm curious. Some of you guys might notice, I posted a video yesterday. It was the clip of our first show. And I want you guys to understand, that is my side of the story. That is why I left. Every single individual that ended up leaving had their own reasons. People really wanted to blow that out of proportion, the whole situation. They wanted to make it into some grand dramatic thing, but it really is a simple thing. People asking, what stuff Jeb has said on it. Jeb and I have actually talked even. I think there's some remarks that Jeb has said that he probably phrased wrong. But ultimately, don't expect that. We both talked now. We both kind of said what's going on. We both have talked. Like, him and I are good. There's even a chance in the future him and I are going to be doing some stuff together. But right now, he's trying to regroup what he's doing with his channel. We're building this channel. We're both just moving forward. So we probably won't really be talking about it anymore. But just kind of wrapping up, there's no drama there. Everything is good. It just was the right time for everyone. And again, I'm super excited to see Jeb back on camera, seeing Crypto Jeb back there where he really belongs. This space wasn't the same without him. So that's all I'm going to say on that one. But thank you so much, guys. That is about all we're going to read here in chat. But thank you to everybody else who is here. By the way, we got 42 people here. Go ahead and smash that like button as we get into some technical analysis.
Give it a smash.
Give it a little smash. Also,
give it a smash.
I mean, with how small we are as a channel, by the way, I mean, we're now sitting at over 726 subscribers.
Wow.
That is amazing.
I didn't know it went up that much.
A week and some change.
Wow.
We've been here for a little longer than a week, and we already have 726 subscribers. So thank you guys, every one of you. But that's still a small channel. So if you have not already, hit that notification bell. So anytime we go live or anytime we post any type of content, you guys get a notification, because this is such a small channel. Like YouTube is not going to really give us too many brownie points for pushing our content. Mm-hmm. So you got to help us out. Get that notification bell hit. And then also make sure you're constantly sharing this with your friends and family so that they can learn about crypto and engage the markets as well. But let's go ahead, T-Shroom. Let's go to my screen. Let's start talking about some Bitcoin TA, and we'll get going here. So the first thing sitting out on the daily chart, you guys are going to notice we have a couple different lines here drawn, and this is going to come into consideration, but it's a really small candle right now looking at the daily chart. But as we zoom in, I'll tell you guys why this is significant. Yes, the Bitcoin price is only down a couple $100, but we just broke this ascending level of support. So let's go down to the 4-hourly chart where we'll see this a little more clearly. And again, not huge candles, but after holding this line 1, 2, 3, 4 times, 4 different touches, we ended up breaking down right here below our target level, this zone between 17,600 and about 18,000. But remember, we talked about this last week. I'm not necessarily surprised we broke down. I thought we might get a little closer to that 17,600 and maybe kiss it or touch it, but I'm not surprised that we're not getting above it right now. This line not only is a key level of former support turned into resistance, but also is that 0.786 level on Fibonacci that historically in bear markets, we don't get right back through immediately. We actually spend a little time below it. So it would be extremely bullish and a breaking of former trends for us to break through and end up turning it back into support anytime soon. But right now, it's not that surprising to me that we broke through. But again, this blue line, this is where I'm kind of looking at and questioning, do we potentially have further to go? Now, as the title of the video suggests, there are 2 options. The question is this preluding a bigger crash coming? Like, are we going a lot deeper? And I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. But the other one is this just potentially some volatility and a little dip before we have another rally, maybe after the Fed news, that does pump us up towards that 17,600 or maybe even higher towards the 18,000? We will see. I'm not necessarily convinced just yet, but as it stands right now, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys reasons to potentially expect maybe we could go back up in price. And that is starting right here on the 4-hourly chart. And you're going to see it on the hourly chart as well. So I'm just not going to even show you guys the hourly chart. But if you're looking at it, you're going to see bullish divergence as well. The 4-hourly chart, though, right here, we do have our bottoms rising with our price bottoms. And at the same time, we have the RSI bottoms going to the downside. Now, we're not extremely overextended to the downside on the 4-hourly chart. And I said I wasn't going to show the hourly chart, but I'll go ahead and do so because we did get overextended on the hourly chart RSI. So that's a good thing. But remember, hourly chart, it's really good at helping us decipher things maybe the rest of the day. But then there's going to become a point where it starts to kind of lose its value. It loses how much significance it is. It is really cool seeing the amount of volume that came in at these low levels, meaning, yes, the bulls were ready. The bulls were ready to mount a little bit of a stopping point in that dip. But But when I'm looking at the 4-hourly chart, I still see room to the downside that the price could get to, even though we have 2 touches of bullish RSI divergence, and this would be a continuation pattern, a hidden bullish RSI divergence is what we call it. The oscillator on Lux Algo is kind of implying it could absolutely go down. And speaking of, let's go ahead and look at some maybe close targets that we could hit before we maybe have some bigger ones. And I'm going to pull up Lux Algo for you guys. Now, this is the Lux Algo price action. What is this one? It's the concepts one. So they have lots of different options. I was talking about this a little bit last week. For those of you who don't know, this is one of the newer indicators on Lux Algo. When I say newer, I mean within the last couple of months. And it gives you, one of the things that I love using it for is little target range of pockets of liquidity and volume transaction spaces. So you're noticing we're right above, we didn't quite touch it, but if we were to dip a little further, I'm watching this area very significantly, this 16,700 all the way up to about 16,850 or so. Watch this area potentially get touched. It's significant both here on the 4-hourly chart and the hourly chart. If we cannot hold that though, now it starts to come into question of some moving levels of support. And so we have this yellow line that was our neckline on that inverse head and shoulders pattern. Let me go take my oscillators down. We have this yellow line that was the neckline crossing over here, and yes, it's behind, but we also have this rising level of support, this green line, which was touching candle body closes on the hourly chart. The question I have here, or say, yeah, that's on the hourly chart. The question I have here is, do we potentially fall all the way down into this pocket, this 16,100 pocket, where we do actually have a large amount of volume trading happening? So keep your eyes on those 2 levels in the short term. These are 2 levels to fall to that do not require a brand new low. And we talked about this last week. Remember, historically, getting below this 0.786 level, a lot of times Bitcoin ends up hovering for a couple of months. And it does not mean we have to go lower than 15,400, but I could easily see us coming back down, getting back in these positions, and then maybe some bullish news from Fed or other places end up rallying us back up towards 17,600, but we struggle to do so for a while. Again, super bullish if we can get above that, so keep your eyes on that. But I am not entering any type of trade or long position with the expectation of taking profit over 17,600 until I see a breakthrough. So ultimately, I'm not going to do that. And then if we break through 17,600, I want to see what the price action does above that level to maybe reestablish some support. And then potentially I'm entering along to head back up towards 19 or 20,000. Still a very long way away from having any type of really strong support that would give you any reason to believe that we are getting back into a bull market. Now before we move on from Bitcoin, last thing, I want to talk about maybe potentially a brand new low. If Bitcoin ends up crashing, if we set a brand new low, the target that I'm looking for after coming below 15,400, because I do believe that we're going to see a little bit of fight from the bulls at that level. It's going to be down here in this little zone with these 2 orange dotted lines, and that is between 14,600 and 14,300. You might be asking, Tim, why are those levels significant? Let me go ahead and answer those for you. Let's go out to the 3 daily chart, and let's use our fixed range volume profile to look at what we see going on that chart. So go ahead and grab this. I'm going to go all the way back to the pandemic days where we had that bottom, and I'm going to extrapolate this over. So you're going to see this is something, I've talked about this before. A lot of times people like to look at the peaks of fixed range volume profile, but more often than not, you're going to also see just as much significance happen in the valleys. And what you're seeing right here in this zone, if I zoom in here, I'm not even going to show you guys what's happening on the price action currently, but you guys can see that this is where the volume really starts to taper off. Notice, as I zoom back out, notice the dip we had down to 15.4, that's in the middle of the little descent. We didn't quite really get all the way. Another push, though, could absolutely push us down into this valley at the top side, 14,600, but there's really just no volume between there all the way until about 14.3, where we actually hit the rock bottom of that valley. Yes, we absolutely could be pushed up here, but more often than not, what I actually have seen happen is these valleys is where the trend change actually gets to move. It's like if the bears have a lot of pressure, for example, the bears could begin to mount a strong dip all the way down into this valley, but this would be a great spot for the bulls to regroup and be able to push back against them. This doesn't mean that we won't go any lower. It doesn't even mean, let's say, for example, if we were to go ahead and come down to these levels and bounce, that we won't go down even lower. I'm just expecting if we come to these levels, we're going to have a bounce back up, maybe back up towards 76, maybe a little bit lower. And then down the road, we have to decide we want to break this level of support as well. We're going to be talking about Binance a little bit later. Not that I'm too concerned about Binance, and not that I think that you should be either at this point, but theoretically speaking, if something terrible happens with Binance and it starts to have problems, problems. That is definitely a catalyst to see prices like these $14,000 levels or even low begin to happen. But we'll keep you guys posted on what is happening there with that price every single day. Let's go over, I'm going to go to the 4-hourly chart again, but let's go check on Ethereum and Cardano before we start looking at some stocks. I still had my marker on, and that's my mistake. Let me take off the Ethereum Lux Algo as well. Let's just kind of look at some price actions here. Not as special. Again, Ethereum last week when we had our show had already broken its ascending level of support, and it was coming back down. But it is now has a flat zone of support that is kind of holding tight in right now. And I've told you guys before, I'm watching for Ethereum. I'm not necessarily freaking out right here. I think it's making its way over towards this green line, which on the more macro side is a descending level of resistance we've had ever since all-time highs back in November. Or let's see, when was the all-time high on Ethereum? Yeah, it was November. Okay, I wanted to make sure it wasn't speaking wrong. I think we're making our way back over to that line, but I think we're also on Ethereum. I don't know when. I think there is a chance that we make one more bounce off of that with a resistance, but this falling wedge pattern, I do think eventually we're breaking to the upside. And of course, with the tokenomics of Ethereum, there's a reason why that could happen with its burn rate, although, again, it's technically right now back to being inflationary, but nowhere close to what we're seeing with other coins, even Bitcoin. Like, I think sometimes people forget that currently, until we get to 21 million on Bitcoin, Bitcoin is inflationary. It's pumping. It's creating new Bitcoin all the time. Ethereum is back to they're gaining more every single day, but they'll get to a place when the volume picks back up and when people start trading it again, they'll get back to a place where they actually start becoming deflationary, and every single day there's tokens going off rather than being new ones created. So that's a whole thing with tokenomics. But with Ethereum, I'm watching the levels when we're talking about a potential dip. Watch the 1200. I said 12,000. 1217 on Ethereum. If we cannot hold that, that's when we're potentially coming back to match some of these lows we had back here a couple of weeks ago, around 1155, and then new lows. You know, I don't think Ethereum's going to be one of the ones hit new lows unless Bitcoin does things like actually going all the way to 9,000. If Bitcoin goes all the way to 9,000, maybe we see a sub $1,000 Ethereum again, but I do not think that that's going to be very likely. I'm not making bets on that right now. I still think, first of all, this zone of support is strong, and then watch former lows that we had here on Ethereum potentially stay in the picture of being credible. The last one we're going to talk about is Cardano, though, and this one, again, we talked about Cardano as been one of the disappointing coins. I do have a little bit of good news for Cardano, and a little bit of good news for technical analysis. Sometimes this doesn't always play out. We tell you guys when we're teaching technical analysis, do not expect 100% success rate when you're trying to make predictions using tools. But this is an instance where we had a rising wedge pattern. I talked to you guys about this early last week, that the breakout for this price prediction would be somewhere down here around 30 cents and 30.14 cents, somewhere in that region. Well, guess what? Here yesterday, we ended up actually dipping right down to that perfect level. So as it stands right now, I'm not saying Cardano cannot go any lower, but Cardano went ahead and matched its bearish prediction of a crash after having a rising wedge breakout. So now the question is, can Cardano go ahead and remount a comeback and start to rally? If you're looking at the 4-hour oscillators, we are overextended to the downside. We do not necessarily on the 4-hour chart have bullish RSI divergence forming, but I wonder, actually, I didn't check this morning, I wonder what is happening out here on the daily chart. So it is in the process. I actually think potentially what we're looking at is the creation of bullish RSI divergence starting to form down here. We'll see how the rest of the day goes, where we end up closing, because even though earlier this morning, we ended up getting down to those levels, that does not mean we can't close any lower. And anything that closes really below 30.38 cents, if we close below levels, there we go, playing back some stuff, then we will have some bullish RSI divergence. And then that'll be a sign that Cardano's ready to rally. Again, last thing I'll say on Cardano before I go ahead and turn it over to T-Shroom for some technical analysis in the stock market. This is a project that is fundamentally extremely strong, but right now is struggling in terms of sentiment, in terms of actually getting any type of momentum and volume into the space. As soon as it happens, and it will happen, this will be one of those projects that takes off like a firecracker, similar to what we saw happen with stuff in Matic earlier this year. We've seen, some other ones. Algo's had some moments. Algo had some moments. Dot's had some moments, although it's having a rough time right now. Doge has had its moments. There will be something big that happens. I don't know when, I don't know how, but something will take off on Cardano because it is overdue for a rally for how good of a project it is, but we're just going to have to be patient a little bit longer. T-Shroom, that is all I got. Do you have anything you want to add to the crypto space or anything you want to start talking about in the stock market space?
Is there anything I want to add? Well, there's there's no end to what I want to add to the crypto analysis, but I'd say that was pretty good. And yeah, so I guess what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and read kind of some big headlines from the stock world. That way we'll have more time once the market opens to kind of actually look at the stock price movements at open. So what I've got here on my screen is a Market Watch report on the NASDAQ that has added 6 companies to the NASDAQ 100. Let's take a look at what those are right now. So CoStar Group was added, Rivian Automotive, competitor of Tesla, Warner Bros. Discovery Incorporated. Now they own CNN and a couple other big names that you've probably heard of. And then you've also got Global Foundries Incorporated, Baker Hughes, Diamondback Energy, and then there's also companies that got removed, and that would be VeriSign, Skyworks Solutions, Splunk, Baidu, which is the big Chinese social media company, I believe, and Match Group. I think that might be Match.com. I'm not sure. DocuSign, NetEase, and all of those are being removed. So what does that mean for you? Well, if you're not in equities, that means very little for you. But basically, the NASDAQ is an index of stocks, of American stocks, and those that I just read are either being added or subtracted. If they're being added, hint, hint, that means that the NASDAQ is feeling pretty strong about those stocks being a good representation of a growing American corporate industry. And so, those might be some names you want to look into. Not all of them are tech. One of them, Diamondback Energy, it's energy, right? Probably oil, natural gas, maybe solar and wind, but probably most likely oil, right? But then they've also got Warner Bros., so entertainment and different things like that. So this is usually a very big deal in the stock world to see indexes moving, adding, removing names from their indexes. So definitely important stuff to pay attention to. We'll take a look at the global markets here and what they did last night and what they're doing right now. The Shanghai Composite closed down almost 1%, but the Hang Seng, man, really took a hit there, down 2.2%. And the Japanese markets there, Nike kind of barely moved, but leaning down to the downside. European markets don't close until 11:30, but they're currently trading down. Basically, rounding to the nearest 0.5, they are down 0.5. And that includes the French, the German, and the English indexes there. Here in America, we have 9 minutes till market open, but it's looking like we're going to open lower. And then the Mexican and Brazilian markets are looking similar. So nothing but red across the board there internationally with our markets. It's interesting because we've got obviously this big week is the Fed. So yeah, that's kind of the long and short of it is the Fed decision is taking place on Wednesday, and on Tuesday we've got the CPI print, and that CPI print may be a last minute fix to what could potentially be a 50 basis point hike. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the CME futures tool is predicting for that hike, and right now it's still saying 75% likelihood of 50 basis point hike. Now, that doesn't mean that we're out of the woods by any means with this recessionary economy, but if we do get 50 basis points, that is going to be probably bullish on the day, almost definitely going to be bullish on the day. Equities and crypto will more than likely close green. What happens the rest of the week? Yeah, who knows as the markets react.
Again, I think it's going to be one of those things where it's a lot more important what he says in his comments and how he answers questions. And then also, don't be surprised. I've seen this happen almost every single time. So of all the raises he's done, I think I've seen 2 of them where this didn't happen, but all the rest of them, whatever direction the market's going to be taking the next day in a bigger step, you actually see a little bit of a fake out to where if the information was actually bullish, it starts to move to the downside and it freaks everybody out. And then, of course, then the next day starts rallying up. Same thing. There's been times where it's supposed to be bearish, but all of a sudden the market starts pumping. It's a little bit of a fake out and then comes back down. So do not just decide like if tomorrow we get there, or not tomorrow, Wednesday we get there, and he says everything bullish, but the price starts to fall. That does not mean that it's going to keep crashing. There's a chance it's just a fake out and vice versa. So keep your eyes on that.
No, absolutely, Tim. And let's take a look really quick at that federal funds rate. Some of you may be new to the world of global finance and central banks and stuff. And, with a crypto channel, we're hoping to get away from central banks and things like that. But unfortunately, they're going to be along for the ride probably for the next 30 years. Anyway, taking a look here, you can see this is the historic rate, and it topped out back in the 80s, in the early 80s, at 20%, 20% interest rate. So, we're really getting our panties in a wad here, rocking out at 3. Just over 3. I think it's, if I can get it to get on there, 3.8 is our top level. That's the amount that the central banks are loaning money to the other big banks like Goldman and JP Morgan and Citigroup and things like that, so that then they can turn around and lend you credit for your credit card, or lends you money for a car or a home. Or a brand new jet ski, whatever you wanted to buy. That's what that interest rate originates with the Fed. And so, as you can see here, we had a long period of near zero interest rates as the Fed tried to fight against the 2008 financial crisis as a result of the housing collapse. And then starting in 2016, they brought those interest rates up. But what you'll notice is why you weren't freaking out about it then is because it was much more gradually, and it was in 25 basis point increments all the way until 2019. And then they started to bring it down, and then something happened in 2020. Maybe you'll remember what it was in early 2020, February to March. And that sign of the times there, Tim. But anyway, so that's a little trip down memory lane. And kind of give you an idea of where we are and what the federal funds rate even is and why it's such a big deal for our economy. And you can kind of see there, I'll zoom in for us. This is where we are at 3.8, and most people are quoting this at 3.5 because that's more of a round number. But so don't get confused there. Well, we got a couple minutes here till market open. One thing I wanted to cover was that ARK Invest, led by Cathie Wood, has added Coinbase to their crypto exchanges as the crypto exchanges price slides there. So they already, let's be clear, they already have a good bit of Coinbase, as we'll see in just a second, but they have added it, I believe, last week. More than likely they disclosed it this week that they added it last week. So Cathie Wood of ARK Invest management said in an email that it bought 78.9 thousand shares in crypto exchange Coinbase, its first investment in Coinbase in a month. So it suggests that the investment firm sees bullish signs for the crypto sector, though may be opting for a cautious approach while the dust settles on a rocky period in crypto. And a rocky period it most absolutely has been. ARK Invest now holds 5.7 million shares of Coinbase. And that puts the purchase on the small side, increasing the ETF's exposure by 1.4%. So, the overall headline here, though, is that they're reinvesting. They're doubling down here. ARK Invest has not had the best reputation here at the end of 2022, but that's real money going into a real stock that is in the crypto sector. So, if Cathie's seeing hope, maybe so should we. And so. Definitely some encouraging news there from ARK Invest.
I know Cathie. So here's I heavily respect Cathie Woods. Would love to have learn from her and do things. There have been some times where she's been a little optimistic, and I think been missing the boat on some things, as a lot of influencers are. And she's someone who believes very heavily in the future of Bitcoin, but sometimes it's really hard when you believe in it and how special it would be if adopted fully versus what people actually end up doing with it. So you got to take those things with a grain of salt sometimes.
Yep.
So yeah,
absolutely. Well, the markets are almost open here. And so
I'm going to check in there.
Go ahead.
There was a good question in chat here. Cryptex, our moderator, actually, he said, I think he mentioned this the other day and we weren't able to talk about it, but he said, have you guys checked out the CBBI recently? Shows a real good case of the bottom being in, or at least very close. So I went over, this is actually something we used to look at a lot more. And we haven't done in a while. And I'm assuming the case, because they don't really, when you go to this, I just Google, for anyone who wants to look at this, I just Googled CBBI. It's colintalkcrypto.com. So this is the report. Confidence right now is at a 5. What he's looking at right here, this is the chart. You're looking at when we've hit bottoms in the past. We came all the way down here to 2, back here in 2015, in 2019, or I guess this is 2018, December 2018, confidence hit 2. And guess what? Here just a little bit ago, we hit 2 again. A couple things. Absolutely, the bottom could be in. That's something we've talked about now several times on this show, and I've heard several other YouTubers and crypto influencers talking about the same. It absolutely could be in. There's just no guarantee. And let me play devil's advocate to this chart and saying that we've matched the confidence levels of the past. Well, guess what we have never done? We have never actually been in a serious recession. Yes, technically in 2020, there was a small one, but it was not very significant. We have never seen Bitcoin actually go through a recession. So could the bottom be in? Absolutely. Is this encouraging to see that the CBBI is historically tracking us at the same levels as previous bear market bottoms? Absolutely, that's encouraging. I'm going to hold on to that hope. However, I also am going to stay realistic and understand there are factors about what we're currently going through that we have never been through before, and that is we are sitting in a recession. Whether you think we're about to be in one or we currently are in one, we're going to be, and that's going to change the game a little bit. I hope not, but I'm expecting it to change the game. So does that mean we stay at these low levels? We don't hit a new bottom, but we stay low longer? Does that mean we go a little lower? Is this the time where Bitcoin actually shows its full significant self and it actually breaks away from the stock market? And it's not even a question about recession. It's actually about people seeing the future of Bitcoin and moving their money from traditional finances into Bitcoin. All of these are technically possible, but it's impossible to fully predict because of the current situation we're going through.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
it is.
Good question, though, Cryptex.
It is a good question. Well, we can go ahead. Yeah, so the market is now open. So let's go ahead and take a look here at, well, I've got Matic pulled up here. I mean, you take a good look there. It's holding steady at 88 cents. And, you know, it's been getting bought quite a bit here at 75 cents. And, you know, I think Matic has really performed really, really well over this crypto winter. I believe it's actually leading the top. I think it's leading the top 30 cryptos in terms of its reduced losses. So, you know, definitely something to pay attention there. Obviously, they've had a lot of big partnerships that have helped them stay afloat. Well, let's check out UNG. This is kind of the big play that I've been participating in. And wow, look at that. So it has returned back to this range that it was trading in before. So if you've been watching us since the beginning here, you'll know that this is a trade that has played out extremely well for your boy T Shroom. So just to kind of give you guys a little refresher here, let me get a good shape for us here. This looks pretty good. Yeah. So that's actually terrible. Well, I'll just use the cursor. So I bought a long and a short here. And then it came all the way down. I sold my short down here, I didn't double down, but I bought more of the long down here, and now that long is back up, and I am almost back in profit on my long. So this will be very nice. This will be a in profit sell going both ways, and just kind of timing the market. You know, taking a look at the levels and just making sure that I am not getting too afraid, not getting too worried, not getting too panicky. And I got to be honest with you guys, emerging for me is a big tip in trading, which is to have something to do during the day. If you have the luxury of having a bunch of money and you're a profitable trader, one thing I would recommend is having something to do so that you're not just sitting there impulsively making decisions, sitting in front of your screen all day. I've done that and I've lost money while I was doing that, right? So I'm not saying that you're going to not lose money by having things to do during the day, but having something to do during the day, it helps you to not second guess, because 9 times out of 10, especially when you're trading commodities, whatever that market is doing at the beginning of the day, it's just going to continue that momentum. So if it starts off green, it's going to end green. Not all the time, obviously, because there can be major events during the day. But if you're sitting there day trading, you might start to get afraid and start getting scared, and then you sell out and you lose more profit, and you totally negate the virtue of let your winners ride. So that's my natural gas play. Very happy with it. Almost back in the money on my longs, and have taken profit in my shorts. So that's natural gas. Looking at oil, I believe it has gone. Yeah, it's gone lower here. It's green on today, though, trying to make back some of these losses. But most folks watching this will have some smiles on their faces, because this does directly translate into lower prices at the pump. And unless you live in California, you've probably been having positive experiences at the pump, seeing those prices go lower and lower. What prices have you been paying at the pump there, Tim?
Honestly, because I've been sitting here at home, not having to drive to work, I haven't gotten gas in literally
it's been
a month and a half or so. But I think last time I did the pump, it was $3.39.
Okay, well I paid $3.12. $3.12 is what I paid. Yeah, but we're in Florida, so where you're living, you might be very surprised by that for two different reasons. Yeah. So that's oil. We'll keep looking at that for sure. But I'm not in an oil position right now. I believe Caleb Franzen is. He's short oil, so he's been doing pretty well. Which continues to move to the downside.
We talked about that last week. T-Stream trades it way more than me, but just looking at those charts, you don't even need to go to my screen. Just looking at those charts.
Oh, I'm going to go to your screen.
Well, I'm not on the screen, so if you go to the screen, it'll be a complete waste of time.
I'm going to it.
There's a lot of reason to suspect, especially when you're looking at the geopolitics going on, that we are going to see a crash in oil. But guess what? As good as that is for your gas prices, that's also a sign of a heavy recession. Yeah. Some people even predicting as much as all the way down to $40 a barrel, which would match prices of the pandemic back in 2020 level. Good for your gas, but the reason why it's so cheap is because there's no point in using it because a lot of people aren't like me. Like I'm not traveling to work right now, so I don't drive anywhere. Mm-hmm. That's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just caution you maybe not to take a leverage short position on oil because there also is the story on the other side of the Pacific that China is flipping their COVID policy and they are opening up. And so more folks will be getting in their vehicles over there and consuming more gas, which will stabilize, if not bring the price higher. But that is a developing story and is certainly not guaranteed because the Chinese could just
they flip-flop all the time. The factors. I think that China one is a good one to keep an eye on. The other factors would be, again, as recession happens, as there are more layoffs. It's going to be hard. It's going to be masked in the holiday season here in the United States. Mm-hmm. I'm not exactly certain how that operates over in Europe and UK. What they're looking like necessarily around the holiday season. But it's going to be masked by that stuff. But as the recession starts to set in, not only it's not just even people not having their jobs. Because they don't have their jobs, demand will go down. When demand goes down, there'll be less reason for trucks and things to be shipping stuff. Yeah. And then so that'll lower the price. And then when that price gets lower, this is what an article I was reading about. This will put a lot of pressure on Russia to enter a ceasefire with Ukraine because they no longer can fund their efforts there because oil is getting lower and they're not making as much money. And then right now, oil prices are high because there's a kind of a fearmonger thing happening between Russia and Ukraine. So when the ceasefire happens there, that will be another push to lower prices in oil. And hence the reason why that person I was talking about was referring to a $40 a barrel price. Again, it might take some time and there might be some upswing like T-Shirt was saying till then. So good advice for anyone. Not that we are giving financial advice. It's just good thinking through. If you're ever going to leverage trade, you better know absolutely what you are doing and be watching your screen like a hawk. Because when you hear stories of people losing $70, $80, $100,000 in a trade, more often than not, it was a leverage trade that they were convinced of, but they didn't watch their screen, and some fake pump or fake fall took them out of their spot. And then it ended up going where they were predicting, but they weren't ready for a fake rally or a fake pump. So it's,
Yeah, well, Gia S has chimed in. She says that she's seeing $4 a gallon here. Do you know where Gia lives? I'm not sure.
No, Gia, when you say here, where's here?
Yeah, but Matt C said $5.70 in California. So that's the price of beauty over there. There's some great scenic vistas in California if you live in the right place. Yeah. And you definitely pay for it. But it's nice. I like California. I don't know that I'd live there, but there's definitely some really cool stuff going on over there.
$2.75 in northern Minnesota.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. Is some people would be surprised because in oil, Minnesota's not an oil state, but in some state, like I remember in Nebraska, I went out there 2 years ago and I was like, whoa, like the prices were like in the dollar something in like the small towns in Nebraska as we were driving through from Omaha to Lincoln, Nebraska. But circling back, we'll take a look at the SPYs open here. And it is opening. It was open. Okay. So here it is, opening up 0.8. So the market really not being super decisive this morning. I kind of, what I predict is that we're going to just be sideways until we get that Fed decision. There's a good chance that we'll move in one direction or another when we get the CPI print tomorrow at 8:30. But more than likely, we're going to be some kind of sideways until we get that rate decision. And let's take also a look at the Dow Jones. Dow Jones is up much more decisively, as it has more of those industrial names in it. And now we can take a look here. Crypto, mostly red across the board. So not looking like it's going to be a green day here for crypto. That could change.
I would say it could change because I didn't look at all of them, but the ones I was looking at, I showed you Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano. Hourly chart is showing bottoming out formations, which means the rest of the day, again, the day kind of ends. It flips to tomorrow around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which means we have about 10 hours left, 9 and some change. 9 and some change left until that happens. I think that potentially you could see it kind of be a very slim candle, either green or red, kind of hovering around. And again, I'm sitting here saying I think there are levels to go lower, but if I actually had to put my money on it, I think this might actually be a small dip. Preparing for the Fed announcement. Now, if the Fed announcement's bad, it'll just keep falling, and that's where the crash comes in. But if the Fed announcement's what we expect it to be, a 50 basis points hike with some thought of like, yes, we're really trying to tackle inflation, but we understand that the economy, the global economy is in trouble, and we're going to be aware of that. A sentiment like that will send crypto back up. And this is just volatility of trading in a zone until that happens.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, the big tech names are mixed today. Microsoft is up, and I believe that's because they had clearance to buy a portion of the London Stock Exchange. So that's going to give them some pull there because they landed a pretty big contract to do London Stock Exchange's cloud. So part of that deal was that they got to buy the London Stock Exchange. It's part of it. So that's obviously being interpreted by the market as good news, as it's up 1.3%. GS, just for those of you who were avidly following that story of where she lived. She lives in New Jersey, which was where we were there not too long ago in New Jersey. And one thing I'll say about New Jersey is the homes there are way bigger than in Florida, on average. Would you agree, Tim?
I had no idea where you were going about what you loved in New Jersey. The homes are where we were in New Jersey. I'm sure there's places in New Jersey that aren't like that, but they were. We were in what city were we in? We were at Monmouth College because my brother was playing Monmouth College, and Monmouth College area is very ritzy, very wealthy.
Yeah, we were in northern New Jersey, which you'd have to imagine gets a lot of trickle down from the island there of Manhattan. But we'll stay back in the markets because that's why you guys tuned in, not for our jibber jabber about our wackamimi road trips.
I had no idea what you were saying about New Jersey. I was a little worried.
Where I was going to go with it.
Where's he going with this?
Yeah.
The campground was not that nice.
We had to sleep on the okay. Tesla down 3%. Meta down 1%. Nothing new there. Let's actually take a look here at Meta. If you guys haven't been tracking this story, Meta, if you really haven't been tracking it, this is previously Facebook. Facebook has rebranded themselves as Meta to kind of assert themselves in the metaverse. So the story of Meta here is that from 2013 to mid 2018, they have just had a tear. And then they got a correction there, but then they just skyrocketed from there all the way through mid 2021. Well, that has changed, and a lot of folks credit that to Zuckerberg pivoting too hard and too early into the metaverse, and you can see that reflected in their stock price. Also, you could say that they they're the main revenue source, I believe, for Facebook has also not done very well, as folks have advertisers and marketers have moved away from spending as much on marketing there on Facebook. So things not going super well over there at Meta. And now my screen doesn't want to cooperate. So that's awesome.
It's a good start.
But so I'll go ahead and read the rest here. So bond yields are opening up negative on the day, down 1.5%, which can be interpreted as positive for the market. And let's see if the DXY also wants to. So it might actually be my computer being the lagger here.
Oh, no.
Not really sure, but so the DXY staying below. So let's give him back here. Staying below the 200-day moving average, which is good. We want to see that. That means that the dollar's losing a little bit of that overpowered strength here. And so, that may be confusing for some people, but that is actually bullish for the market, for crypto and for equities. And then finally, we'll take a stop here at oil producers. and they are up today. And that could be for a variety of reasons, but more than likely it's because they're trying to recover, and money may be cycling in from the sell-offs here in names like Tesla or Meta or even Amazon, as they're trying to find stability in the value names, right? And the names that are expected to continue to perform into 2023. A lot of talk about the recession and the first 2 quarters of 2023 being bearish. Hearing that almost every time I turn on the radio. Just kidding, guys. I don't listen to the radio for market news. But every time I tune into any kind of market news, it seems to be a consensus that I got Tim with that one. The first 2 quarters.
It just didn't make any sense.
The first 2 quarters
okay,
of 2023 are going to be bearish. So, yep, absolutely. And Cryptex has just said something that I could not agree with more. He said, hit the like.
He did
hit the like button. He or she. I don't know.
Cryptex is he.
He? Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes you just say, okay. So the humor of T-Shroom. Tangent time, real quick. We're about to transition to stories because there's some good ones here. I love T-Shroom's humor, but sometimes I don't know if he's trying to be funny or if it just slips out. He'll just be going on to something serious and then just lightheartedly just change the whole nature of what he just said.
Yeah.
And it always gets me. And I'm sorry if you guys didn't find that funny. I found it funny. He's quite a character.
No, it's funny.
Quite a guy.
Good stuff.
Quite a guy, old T-Shroom.
I'm just still riding high after my big birthday weekend. I had a lot of fun, and I've been eating just cake for breakfast. I don't know.
Wow.
I'm going to probably get on the scale today and see if I have to stop doing that.
You have 2 more years until 30, so, you got 2 more years of reckless decision making.
It's true. But that cake that Smay bought me, ooh, man, it is so good. That chocolate ganoche. You didn't get to have it.
I didn't. I went home and went to sleep because it's time for me to make wise
Went
decisions.
home from what? Oh, well, if you stay tuned in, you will get to see what he went home from and didn't get to have any chocolate cake.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
We're going to play that video. So we got to get through these stories first in order to get through that. So let's go. U.S. Justice Department is split over charging Binance as crypto world falters. So some of you may not know, but Binance has been under investigation from the SEC, and it looks like also the Justice Department. So it's not like they're getting off scot-free through this crypto winter. So let's find out exactly what is going on over at Binance. Well, splits between U.S. Department of Justice prosecutors are delaying the conclusion of a long-running criminal investigation into the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, Binance. And they've been talking with 4 people who are familiar with the matter. Obviously, the investigation began in 2018 and is focused on Binance's compliance with U.S. anti-money laundering laws and sanctions. So that is really the focus of the investigation here. And there's definitely more to read here. Let's see. Among Binance's arguments, and this is a weird and strange, weak argument, but a criminal prosecution would wreak havoc on a crypto market already in prolonged downturn. The discussion included potential plea deals as well. I find this argument to be strange. It's almost like saying, officer, don't arrest me. My family would be really sad, and they're already dealing with a lot. So I don't know. Maybe that's a compelling argument to the Justice Department that doesn't want to see more people lose their crypto holdings, but I don't know. I'm sure they have a stronger argument than that. Like maybe, hey, we weren't money laundering, or the money laundering that was going on was undetected at the time and we couldn't do anything about it, but we've taken swift and effective action since then. I don't know. So maybe they do make that argument at some point, but this argument is pretty weak. No, don't do that, because the poor crypto people are already really in a lot of turmoil.
Binance that made that argument?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I know I was reading, I don't know if it was in that article or a different one. There's a split decision. I think it talks about it, but split decision, they're not even sure they have enough evidence to go through with the whole thing.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So they need to collect more, but
that's what this article talks about, but it's so long and frankly pretty boring. So we'll move on to the next one.
Let's do it.
Optimistic headline here. Bitcoin Lightning Network to be used in fiat transfers between the EU and Africa. So this is pretty cool. A partnership between Coin Corner and BitNob, some great names there, guys, opens a way for users across continents to perform cross-border transactions involving multiple fiat currencies. The World Bank estimates that remittances to sub-Saharan Africa went upwards of 40 billion yearly as of 2020. So that's quite a bit of change there, with Nigeria receiving almost half of the sum alone. So Nigeria getting a lot of that 40 billion. Now users can transfer funds via the Bitcoin Lightning Network from the United Kingdom and Europe to select countries in Africa. The application Send Globally allows British pounds or euros to be transferred to the local countries of Nigeria, Kenya, and Ghana. And Nigeria, man, we've been talking about Nigeria quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I've been hearing about them a lot. It may be time to invest in some Nigerian real estate because, man, they're just popping off and everybody's talking about them.
Well, the only problem with Nigeria, though, they do have the bad news, and that is the forceful nature of the CBDC, and they're limiting the amount of cash people can pull out.
Yeah, they're coming out with the CBDC, but it's like, there's a good chance that they're going to test that, and like a year in, the people are going to be like, screw this, and they're just going to use Bitcoin, or they're going to use Cardano, or they're going to use PancakeSwap. Just kidding, they won't use PancakeSwap. But they'll use some alternative. They'll probably honestly they'll use dollars or USDC, and they'll be transferring it that way. But it's an interesting world over there. They've had digital payments for a lot longer than we have. So it's definitely really interesting to see. But the cost of you can see here, the cost of spending remittances within Africa has been reflected here in this chart. And you can see this is the remittances to Africa, and this is the remittances within Africa. Now, Tim asked me a good question this morning, and I don't want to assume that everybody knows. What is a remittance? So a remittance is it's very popular here in America with the Mexican people or people from South American countries. They come here, they'll work, and they'll send money back home. So the dollars here can buy way more money, buy way more things, whatever it is, rice, Netflix subscriptions, whatever you want to buy in South America. It can buy a lot more of it. So it makes a lot of sense a lot of times. And this is not just Mexico. This is obviously all over the world. And a lot of people from Africa will move to Europe so they can get those euros and pounds, and then they send those back. Well, the crypto industry has gotten wise to that, and coins like XLM have even led the charge, and they've completely branded themselves around remittances. So now this headline obviously here is focusing on the Bitcoin Lightning Network and how looks like there's a new big partnership being forged by Coin Corner and BitNob. So we love to see it.
Yeah.
Something we don't love to see is former SEC regulator Binance's proof of reserves audit is a red flag. But don't worry, we've got a counter article to this one. But John Reed Stark, a former U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission regulator, said that Binance's recent proof of reserves report is how he defines a red flag. So he's coming out and saying their proof of reserve report is a red flag. If you look it up in the dictionary, red flag, you're going to see Binance's proof of reserves report. Now that we're laughing.
Updating that dictionary pretty frequently.
Yeah, we're laughing, but that's definitely not a great thing. So he says, Reed Stark says, "Wow, tell us Tether is running a Ponzi scheme without telling us Tether is running a Ponzi scheme. Just listen to his answers. IMHO, as a former SEC enforcement officer of 18 years, the invasion, deflection, lack of responsiveness makes me believe Tether is a house of cards." So this kind of leads me to believe that this guy's just kind of out for blood in crypto whenever he can. But this firm, Mazars, concluded that Binance controlled in-scope assets in excess of 100% of its total platform liabilities, which is what you want to see and is not a red flag. And that's what the following article tends to point out here, is that the independent audit confirms Binance's Bitcoin is more than fully backed, which I believe it goes on to talk about how it's 101% back collateralized of its 575,000 Bitcoins that it holds for users, including me. I've got Bitcoin at Binance US. So I feel, pretty.
But like I said, I told you this before the whole show. Ask Matt C in chat. Binance.us claims to be a completely different company than Binance.
It's completely different.
And it had to do with getting t-shirts and hats. You had to have a Binance account, and they refused my friend who had a Binance account but not a Binance.us. They wouldn't let him get it because they said he did not have the account.
Yeah.
So again, it's a weird thing with two different companies in their eyes.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I am pretty sure it is Binance owns Binance.us, or if not, Binance and Binance.us are owned by the same parent company.
And that's what we thought too.
Management.
Like, but I remember we literally argued with this lady for about 5 minutes because we were like, because she's like, oh, we're actually 2 different companies. We're like, well, but really, you're the same company.
Yeah,
and she over and over is like, we are different companies. We are very different. Like, this is Binance US. Yeah, it was a whole thing. And again, ask Matt C in chat. He was there for the whole thing, but he had one. So he got a hat. So good for Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matt C, he looks great in a hat. I've never seen him in a hat, but just what is,
I can picture a good Matt C.
I've actually never even seen him.
Matt's got good hair. I don't know why he would cover it up with a hat.
Yeah.
But
anyway, hats or not, Matt C is a good looking guy. All right, so we'll move on.
Yeah, let's keep going.
So we've kind of looked into some of the claims being made about Binance here, that it's a red flag when it comes to its proof of reserves, and that it's under investigation by the DOJ, the Department of Justice there, the U.S. Department of Justice, we should clarify. So here's kind of the analysis, right? Is that Binance going down would be very, very bad, because that would basically leave Coinbase. And I mean, Tim, what are some other big exchanges that come to mind that would be left if Binance were to go down? And by Binance, I mean both Binance and Binance.us.
Celsius, FTX.
No, which would be left?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, no. Binance and Coinbase are right now the 2 biggest. Obviously, there are other ones that do a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I also think that there's going to be an exchange in the future, especially as regulation becomes more clear about what exchanges are and are not allowed to do. I think there's a chance that there's going to be a big exchange in the future that we don't even know. It might exist right now, but we don't know the name of it, or maybe it doesn't exist yet. And what's going to happen is a massive bank. That's something we have been seeing. I think JP Morgan and BlackRock, we've seen reports in the last couple of months that they're looking into potentially even starting their exchanges. BlackRock, of course, partnered with Coinbase, so they have their hand in there, but they haven't ruled out the concept of go ahead and just creating an exchange of their own from scratch. So watch for things like that to happen. But right now, Binance and Coinbase, correct me if I'm wrong, someone says KuCoin. Yes, KuCoin's there too, but I mean, in my opinion, I wouldn't put it on the same level as Binance and Coinbase. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, so just pulling it up so you can see this is CoinMarketCap, which we found out. Someone pointed this out on Friday. CoinMarketCap is owned by Binance Management Group, which, at the end of the day, my conclusion on that is it's fine. I don't see a problem with that, as long as other competitors like CoinGecko aren't shut down, right? Because if CoinGecko's shut down, then you do kind of have a monopoly on price reporting. There's obviously other places you can find the price, like any other exchange, like Coinbase, but Binance would have quite a bit of power at that point. But as long as CoinGecko exists, so that's fine. So Kraken, KuCoin, Bitstamp, Bitfinex.
I love the flip. It's not for you. You can't settle with KuCoin. It's KuCoin.
Yeah,
KuCoin.
KuCoin.
I'm going to call it that from now on.
Binance.us is down at 7, so it's not even. This is organized by trading volume. OKX, Bybit, BitGet, Bitflyer, Gemini. That's one of the ones I was thinking that was pretty big. It's actually not that big. It's down here. 12.
Gemini, but Gemini's one that's in trouble.
Mexi, Wabe, Crypto.com, of course.
Oh, another one that's in trouble.
But look, it's at 14 by trading volume. It's pretty
yeah, no,
pretty
but both Gemini and Crypto.com, they have some connections to FTX, and so as we see that stuff kind of play out, we'll see what happens there. Those are not ones that I have high. Like I would, if I had money in them, I would go grab that right now. I don't. So
yeah, but check this out, guys. Look at this. Trading volume 10 billion versus the next biggest, Coinbase, and I don't think this is U.S. specific.
No,
I think so. This is global.
I'm seeing a lot of these that are not,
because Binance is the international one. Binance US is further down, but so Binance is far and away eclipses the trading volume of pretty much any other, not pretty much, but of the next probably 10 exchanges. I wonder where FTX was on this chart before it got shut down, before it filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. I don't know. Maybe it's still on the chart, actually. I'm sure there's probably some people still crazily on FTX. But anyway, the point is here, guys, is that if Binance were to go down, that would not be good. So we're going to be tracking that story extremely closely. as that evolves, and Tim and I are definitely going to be reporting on how that goes. But overall, what do you think? What do you think? Up or down on Binance? You think it's going to be good through 2030?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
but I mean, I also don't know enough. Like I'm the type of person who I want to see. I don't like when I just hear rumors. I want to see the evidence, and I want to see some things develop before I have a reason to suspect it's going bad. So I still have belief in Binance, but I'm not. I don't have this like dying belief. I'm not like I'm just going to leave all of my money in Binance. I have no concern whatsoever. Like that's not who I am either. I just am not sitting here expecting it's going to crash or die.
Yeah, I have some money on that exchange on Binance.us, but I have it because I'm staking it. But, over these last couple weeks, I've been tempted to take it off and put it in a cold wallet. But one exchange that's not listed on here is Robinhood. And, if you're looking for an exchange that you can do trading of equities and crypto, you might want to check out Robinhood. And I have a link down below that you can get a free stock, and I'll get a free stock.
Listen,
too.
I'm considering getting a Robinhood account just to make you happy.
And when we get to 1,000 subscribers, Tim said he wrote this in blood. He said that he was going to get a Robinhood account. Now he didn't actually, but we'll see.
I might do it.
So, all right. So you have stayed long enough, and you have earned the awesome video that I will be playing now for you. This is what we did at my birthday. And honestly, this is pretty impressive. I'm not joking around here, guys. This is pretty cool. So take a look at this video, and the volume is right there. The volume's weird, guys. So don't worry about it.
He kept touching me inappropriately.
Look at those antics. Smay's always up to something, Look at that. So that was a strike. I panned away probably too quickly, but that was a strike, and you can see it reflected there in the animation. There's our posse. All right, so here we go.
I finally got into
number 2. So this was at the end of one of our games at my birthday party, and I guess you explain the rules, Tim. Why do you get to keep going?
Because on your last frame, if you hit strike or a spare, you get another one, and if you hit another strike, you get a third one.
Gotcha.
I don't know bowling rules. I just know that's how it works.
Gotcha. So Tim's a pro bowler here, and he's really showing off his skills. Can he make 3 strikes in a row? It's looking good, and he does it.
Hey,
wow.
Turkey.
And so now we find out that getting 3 strikes in a row is called a turkey. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it was a creepy-looking turkey on the screen. It was a fun night. It was a great birthday. Some great friends. Again, you guys get to see Smay. He was there showing up. And again, he assured us when he can, if he can in the future, he will do his best to make an appearance from here or there on the show. But before we wrap it out, we are over time on today. I forgot I told him I was going to do this. You guys have seen in chat, those of you who are watching chat, Crypto Set Guy, also known as Jeffrey Fritz, also known as my frenemy, because we're friends and we're enemies. It is his birthday today, so happy birthday to Jeffrey Fritz. He turned 104, so congratulations to him. He's really just sticking in there. What a trooper.
But it's really his birthday, though?
It is his birthday, yeah.
Wow.
Now 104.
So it's interesting. So our parents were thinking along the same lines at around the same time.
It's years apart, I believe.
Years apart. But love was in the air.
Yeah, it's wow. It's true.
Very cool. Well, I mean, so yesterday was my birthday. Today is Jeffrey Fritz's birthday.
You guys are kindred spirits, I think.
So today's Jeffrey Fritz's birthday. Yesterday was my birthday. Yes. Is what you're telling me.
Is what I'm telling you. Yes.
Wow. Well, why don't you go ahead and close out the show?
Let there be cake. Guys, that's all we have for you in this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We had, I think, well over 70 people at one point into concurrent viewers. Again, we are quickly growing. Make sure that you are a part of that by not only liking and subscribing and liking every video, comment below on the videos. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see in the future, but also hit that notification bell and share this with everybody you know. Again, here at the Investing Bros, T-Shib and I are the faces of it, but this is a movement of a community. You guys are just as important as we are. So thank you so much for your continued support. And guess what? We'll see you guys tomorrow morning, same time, same place. With that said, you guys have a great day.